What's going on YouTube, TikTok? Let's talk about the real math on surviving a tenant eviction without losing your entire rental property. Now, I'm going to tell you how to bridge the gap between legal chaos to portfolio preservation by calculating the exact cost to carry during a non-payment crisis. I will map out the lost rent, legal fees, and turnover expense against emergency reserves, proving the strategy cash for key settlement often protects long-term equality better than proactive high-risk courtroom battle for possession. Now, here's the thing I gotta tell you. The financial reality check. Most landlords lose their property not because of the eviction itself, but because they can't do the math behind it. While you're fighting the justice in court, your emergency reserves are bleeding dry from legal fees and lost rent. In this video, we're going to calculate the exact moment your price starts costing your equity. Now, I have a few rental properties and I've been having issues with tenants before and had to deal with court cases. And here's the thing. No one really talks about this, the reality of it. Everyone says, oh, you can have 2 months of tenant vacancy in your bank account. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not enough. I'm YB or Dong, and I spend ungodly amount of time researching about finances, dealing with rental properties, and I'm here to explain to you how much you actually need. Now, let's calculate the burn rate of a vacant unit. This is the thing you need to understand. Calculate the true daily cost of an empty unit, including mortgage interest, properties, and utilities at the minimum. Now, you also have to account for hidden impacts such as inflation rate on maintenance material and emergency repair reserves. Even if the person's going through a eviction, you still have to maintain your property. They could be tearing it up. The AC could go out. And those are things you're still going to have to fix. And why a fast legal settlement is often better mathematics superior for long-term down out principle based on the battle. All right, let's have a conversation about this. The burnout rate. Think about it like this. You have a property. It costs you $1,500 a month for the insurance, mortgage, everything else to maintain that property. Your tenant is not paying you, and you have 2 months vacancy reserved for it. That's $3,000. That sounds reasonable because it'll take you about, a month or two on average to get someone in there. I'm going to give you a reality check. A legal battle can take 6 months to even a year to get that person evicted sometimes. So guess what? Once you hit that 2 months part and your reserve is gone, you are now burning through your money to keep the property. And that doesn't account for the stuff that they have to get on the property to maintain it. At the end of the day, you want to maintain your property. So if you have an extra 1% put away, like some experts said, you will start running out of money. That's the reality of it. And the best thing you can do in this situation is fast legal settlement to get them out. Even if you have to pay for them to move out, sometimes that's better than fighting that long legal battle. And that's the reality. So how much money should you have? In my personal opinion, you need 6 months of rental put aside for reserve. Not 1, 2 months, 6 months. So if you rent it out for $1,500 a month, guess what? $3,000 is 2 months. $6,000 is 4 months, and $9,000 to put aside just for your vacancy. Now, let's talk about the mitigating legal fees and filing costs. Now, if you compare the standard legal retainer fee against a potential lost rental income over a 4-month backlog for court, it will cost you. So you have to evaluate in this part. Do you have enough properties to have a retainer lawyer that you don't have to keep paying the hourly rate? Now, the gamble of self-representation in a house, in a court case, yes, you can self-represent, but if you're dealing with a habitual person that does this eviction, they're gonna be able to make this go a very long court battle. So guess what? At that point, you represent yourself. It costs you more than actually paying for a lawyer. So when should you get a retainer lawyer? Now, I personally tell you, once you hit 5 or 6 properties, I will start discussing with lawyers around, see if you can find a affordable lawyer to put as retainer. This way that you can have them maintain your contracts and help you with this portion. Yes, you can find free ones online and deal with it, but personally, you can find a pretty cheap lawyer as a retainer. It is a business write-off. So once you get to 5 or 6, that's when you should start thinking, okay, I'm gonna take this more serious and I'm gonna get a retainer lawyer. Now, let's talk about that. Now, that's the reality of all this. Now, let's talk about how to prevent all this from happening. Because I told you you need about 6 months of your rent put aside so that you can afford this part. So if the court is backlogged 4 months, you can if the courts back up 4 months, some of them back up 4 months, some of them back up a year, you have to judge this based off the court system in your area. Some of them aren't backed up at all. So if your court system is backed up, you need to start extending your rental reserves. So how do you prevent all this? You have to do proper tenant screening. That's what helps, not just a credit check. You need to call the latest landlord, and sometimes they try to trick you with the latest landlord, and you want to call the corporate office, not the number that they give you. They can give you the number, you call them, it could be their best friend. So don't fall for that trick. Sometimes I'll call that number and then I'll also call the corporate number and make sure that person actually works there, so that whenever I get a review from them, I'm like, okay, this is a legit review. And then make sure they have double the income to triple the income you're asking for them to stay at your property. Those are the key things you need to look at, and that will help you avoid these habitual evictions of tenants. And like and subscribe to my video. That's all I got for you.